Here to talk more about this, our friend Tracy Byrnes, financial advisor with UBS Financial Services. Tracy, simple question off the top. Should members of Congress be allowed to trade stock?
Look, anyone that has access to more information than you and I do should not be allowed to. You know, Nancy Pelosi could probably get Jeff Bezos on the phone way quicker than you or I. So therefore, it makes it an unfair playing ground. And to be quite honest, the four of them that got out before the market tanked, I'd be curious to know if they got back in, because if they didn't, they missed a magnificent run in the market.
Right.
So then they get burned at the end of the day. But if you have access to people, information, anything else other than what the rest of us have, it should be off the market for them.
Well, it begs the question, why do they then? Why are they allowed?
Exactly. It's a great question, Joe, and I don't know the answer to that. To be honest, when I was with Ernst & Young, we had very strict policies. If we audited the client, we couldn't own the stock. When I was a journalist and we sat in newsrooms, we couldn't own stocks because we got people on the phone. So lots of places have these rules in place. I'm not sure why our congressional leaders don't.
Yeah, there was a Business Insider article that listed 43 members of Congress that it says have violated the Stock Act. I guess the question also, Tracy, the follow-up would be, where does the line get drawn? I mean, spouses, families, where is the line?
And that's the thing, and it becomes really fuzzy and very squirrely trying to figure this all out, because we could say no members of Congress, but then they go home and they talk about it at dinner. So again, when I worked for an accounting firm, it was layers back. No one that I came close to could own stocks as well. I think it's really, really, though, a trust issue, which, one, we have no trust in our congressional leaders, and two, they're not giving us the opportunity to have any trust in them, because they're clearly trying to play beyond the rules that you and I play, and that, I think, is the biggest problem here.
Well, you mentioned trust. Let me use it in a different way. Several of these lawmakers have said, well, you know, it's controlled by a trust. So I don't have anything to do with it. I guess, do you believe that? I mean, they're getting daily briefings, as you said, on things we don't get to see.
Yeah, so I guess it depends, right? I have clients that don't want anything to do with their portfolio, and it's not in trust. I have clients that want to know every single solitary thing. So it really depends. I don't believe that they don't ask questions. I don't believe that they don't come home from, you know, top secret meetings and maybe slip a little information to their advisor, but that's just me. I would be super skeptical, but I'm Sicilian. I'm skeptical of everyone. I think that someone should come out, though, and eventually put their foot down. They're going to have to work through capital gains issues with all these leaders, because they probably will be sitting on gains and won't want to take on the tax. There certainly will have to be ways around this, but they really have to put a stop to it, because it's just getting worse and really getting more and more kind of insulting to the rest of us.
Well, I mean, when you outperform the market by 20%, that's going to raise some eyebrows, I would think. But my other question on this, Tracy, is that when you find out that they're in these briefings that again, we don't get access to, it does make you wonder what in the world is happening. Because I know you're not an investigator, but just from the outside looking in, when you read some of these articles, it seems like obvious insider trading. Am I missing something?
Yeah, and you know what else it does, too? It prevents people from getting in. There's so many people sitting on the sidelines after, you know, the financial crisis. You know, people who have gotten burned over the years are sitting on their cash, and they're missing this market run. And all the more, you know, we've heard for years now that Wall Street is crooked and you can't compete with them. Well, now you can't compete with Washington either. So if all these people are making money, and the little guy that's working really hard, that just wants to put some money in a retirement account and save for a rainy day, if he or she thinks that it's rigged, they're not going to invest, and that's not good for any of us at the end of the day.
Hey, Tracy, I saw an article in the New York Times the other day, and I thought of you. It said, the headline was, "Women may be better investors than men." And Fidelity looked into more than 5 million accounts over 10 years. And the takeaway on this is invest like a woman, and it's more of the way women trade or don't trade. What's the lesson here?
Well, you know, kudos to us, because when we do it right. But I think that's the biggest problem here. So what they're saying is that women maybe are a little bit more methodical, maybe think through things a little bit more, not as impulsive as men. Huge generalizations, right? I know a ton of men that are so methodical. But if men are selling on impulse and they're generating gains, they're generating fees, that maybe eats into their profit.
They trade a lot more.
The biggest problem with this, totally. Totally, and they incur fees and they incur capital gains. The biggest problem here is so many women aren't even in the game. And that is the biggest problem I think that I see with women and investing. So many are afraid of it. They think it's a man's world and a man's game, and they don't even want to play. You have to get in it to be better, and they're not even in it. We need more and more women to just push the buy button on something. You know, there's like $30 trillion transferring from men to women over the next 5 years. That's a ton of money, and we need to learn what to do with it. So we have to get in the game, too, to compete.
Right. What if I were investing with a female member of Congress? How would my return have been?
Yeah, that's a great question and fodder for another show, I'm sure.
All right. Hey, Tracy, it's always great to see you. Take care. Thanks for the time. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.